Hey, this is Rick Houston, and welcome to this episode of the Scene Vault podcast presented by Las Vegas Motor Speedway, America's racing showplace and a track that truly cares about NASCAR history. We released what would have been this week's episode on Saturday in honor of Pete Wright and in memory of his son Adam. That's just something that I wanted to do for Pete. And now there's something I want to do for those who enjoy our show. Wednesday is drop day. That's the day everybody has always been able to go to their favorite podcasting platform and or YouTube and either download and listen or watch the latest episode and enjoy. I hate the feeling of going to the mailbox expecting something to have been delivered and it not being there. I didn't want anybody to experience that on Wednesday morning, so here you go. This is a preview of what's coming up next in the interview with Pete Wright, and then our next guest, D.K. Ulrich. First up, here's Pete on getting hired and then working with Junior Johnson.
But how did you get over to juniors? Was the money problem at Hagen really getting to you at that time?
No,
Okay.
It really wasn't. It was just the fact that I was going to work for Junior Johnson. And to this day, I'll tell you right now, that's the best. I worked for Rick Hendricks. Rick Hendricks was a great guy. But that place was so big, It was unbelievable. Everything that Junior Johnson did, everybody knew about it. He involved his team in financial, especially me, Brewer, Mike Hill. We was all, and Beecher Hatton, we was always involved in what was going to happen. If we hired somebody, we're going to hire somebody, we all had to kind of give our input on that person. Like when we started the 22 team, we, hired Flash, the shoemaker, Tony Shoemaker, and different people like that. And we all gave the input on each one that we hired at that time. But that was just the way Junior operated. And but no, as far as going to juniors, it had nothing to do with money. It was the fact that I liked Darrell. I liked Mike Hill. And at that time, Jeff Hammond was there. And me and Jeff really had a good relationship. And Brewer was there. He didn't race. He was racing Neil. And that's the main reason I went there.
Who was the Junior Johnson that you knew?
Junior had a way. I spent a lot of time. I used to go coon hunting with him. I'd go up there and run. There was times I'd run a bulldozer for him. It was times we'd go and pick up rock. It was time we'd go get up hay, everything, Junior was Junior. He was the type person that he had a way of really getting on your butt, but you respected him while he was doing it. We went to Richmond, brand new car. Terry Labonte was driving. We are actually either leading the race or running second. We're running good. He comes down the front straightaway. A header breaks off. Blows out the right rear. He backs the car on the wall. Brand new car. And it hurt Terry. Next morning, we at work. Stripping the old car. Here Junior comes. And we hadn't won no races for the last 4 or 5 weeks. And he comes in there, he looks at the car, and he looked out. He said, "Let me tell y'all something, boys." He said, "I don't never want to hear y'all talk about drivers anymore. Because for some reason, y'all can't give them the right kind of car to drive without crap breaking," which is the exact words he used, and causing them to lose races. He said, "When y'all learn to do that, then we'll start talking about what kind of driver we got. But until then, y'all need to work on what y'all doing." And we were like, holy cow. He basically just told us we didn't get our crap together. He's going to fire us. And then he says, "Okay, who all wants to go eat?" So we crawled up in the Suburban, every one of us. Yeah, we're going to eat with you, Junior. And we went over to Barney Hall's, because that's when Barney Hall had a little, over at his golf course, he had a little restaurant. And his mama did a lot of cooking, and his sister did cooking, but they had the best pinto beans and cornbread you could ever eat. And we used to go in there and eat.
Where was that?
It was
You're open, man.
it was across the road on 421. I cannot tell you exactly. It was past Klingman.
Yeah, I've been there.
Okay.
It wasn't that far from Junior's. It was about a 15-minute drive, probably. It was more or less back behind. Remember Junior building that big mansion?
Yeah.
It was more or less back in that area.
With DK Ulrich, we struck the mother lode. I sat down with DK in our studio at the NASCAR Technical Institute in Mooresville, and about 2 hours later, we got up. The interview finished, and DK didn't hold anything back. 1978 Southern 500 at Darlington, he got caught up in a terrible crash with Grant Adcox and David Pearson. He's got a story about that, but when NASCAR officials started snooping around what was left of DK's car, they got a little bit of a surprise. They discovered a nitrous oxide system and promptly suspended DK for 12 weeks, basically the rest of the season. And you know what? That wasn't the only time DK did what he had to do, in his words, to make a race. You talked about getting some attention. From that point, how did you find out about what NASCAR had found on the car? They discovered a nitrous oxide bottle. How did you find out that they had found something?
Bill Gasaway called me in the hospital.
In the hospital.
And that was probably 2 days later. And if you remember Bill Gasaway, he was like, he wanted to be like Billy France. I mean, he was very in charge, and when he said it, it was cast in stone. And he just called me up and he said that the car had been broken in half in front, and so the line was showing, and we had to dig into it and find it. And we found a nitrous bottle, and we're going to give you a little vacation. It was a $5,000 penalty, and I was out for the rest of the year. That was in September. That was a big hit to me.
How long had the bottle been there? Because from what I read, you said that it wasn't hooked up, that it had been in the car for quite some time.
I might
and it
have
was
said that, but it was hooked up.
Okay, all right.
I put it in the frame rail, and then left it where you turn it on. I made it where it looked like the head bolt, like a 3/4 head bolt, and that's all you saw in it was down by the frame, and it was right where there was another bolt going somewhere, and all you got to do is put the wrench on it, turn it on, and we could do that. It was only good for qualifying, it really wasn't doing anything for performance during the race, but you just turn the bolt the other way and go race and to see it later. And it had a line that went up into this was down at the frame rail, and it came up by the radiator, around the loop that was around the front of it, back down the roll bar over here, and sprayed right into the air cleaner.
Wow.
And there was a solenoid that I could hit in the car with a regular switch where it said alternator. I could flip that switch, and you get about maybe 30 seconds of nitrous oxide straight in the motor. And for example, at Rockingham, I wasn't going to make the race. It's the second day qualifying. I said, I'm going to blow the nitrous oxide. And I go around and take the green and take the 1 and 2, and then as soon as I could do it, I hit it on the backstretch. And the car goes way out like this here, and hang on, I'm not letting up, and I just went like that and got all the way down into 3 and 4 and got fast time of the day. That's all it was for. I'm not trying to cheat anybody. I just need to get in a race,
Yeah.
And that's I didn't have the horsepower, and so you had to get some.
So you were basically just trying to get to where the front runners were at the
I just want
time.
to get in a race more than anything, And sometimes, we did all kinds of things. I made tires. I made tires by taking the right side tires and the left side. I take the left side tires and grind the number off of it. And they were about that big, like that, to say whatever it was on it. and then you take the you take the left side tires and you take the right side tires and put Bondo on that thing, and then when you pull the Bondo off, you have like a what do you call it?
An imprint, yeah.
Imprint, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So you take that, and then you take the left side tires and get the number and put black silicone in where that was. You put this Bond back on it, and then let it dry and take it off. And now the left side tires have the right side number on them. And so when you go to qualify, you could just put them right over there. And I'll tell you how much I did that is that Harry Hyde had the shop next to me over at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And whatever year it was that Lenny Pond drove for him, they won at the time they had like a challenge where the guy that won the most pole positions won something. I don't know what it was they did, but they won it with my tires.
Wow.
Harry Hyde made a deal with me, and I made a deal with him, and we got real tires from him. If I make a set of tires for him so that he could win the pole, and then during the race they'd shoot tires to me so that we had something to run. That's a little deal. We made no money, just
just helping each other out.
That's it. And getting competitive.
All right, so we have nitrous, we have tires. Surely there was a wealth of other things that were going on at that time.
Oh yeah, but the inspections weren't anything like they are today.
Right.
Well, they got everything today. You're not going to get away with anything. But I took in my car. I want to be able to seal it off in the front, where they allow that now. I mean, they can put tape all over everything and then win a race. They didn't allow you to block it off in the front. So I took a thing you have on your in your house that you open and close it. They go like this here, and they go like that. Okay, I don't know what that's called, but a regulator that you have somewhere in your house. I took two of those, put them together, put them behind the grill, that I could move it with a cable. I could open it or close it, however I wanted to, And
wow.
And so we were blocked off when we qualified. Nobody else. I don't know how many other guys had something going on like that, but it was hidden where you couldn't see it. You could see it easily if you're going to take it apart and look at it, but it was it was clear in the front. You look in there, it looks good, and that's all they ever did, And then so I go out and I could block off when others couldn't. We did that really to get in the race. It was not something you use all day. It's just something you would use in the race to get in it, and not in the race, in the qualifying to get in to make it in the race. However you could, and we did everything from soaking the tires. I ran them all the time. I ran the wrong tires on the car just to get in the race. But then, if you get in the top 10, they confiscate your tires. They wouldn't do anything with them. They just throw them in a pile over there. But you had to start on those the way it was in that day. So you really didn't want to qualify in the top 10. But you need to be in the top 20. And so you do whatever you got to do. I mean, that's what we did. All of us did that. All of us independents. We were camaraderie. We were all in this together, And whatever we could do to get in the race, we did.